Whole numbers. Chapter 2, Class 6th. Before starting with our session, just quickly recapitulate all those concepts which we have already done in the previous session. The session starts with the definition of natural numbers. Then we talk about whole numbers and we find out that whole number is a collection of natural number and zero. We also find out that all natural numbers are whole numbers, but all whole numbers are not natural numbers. After that, we learned about how to find out the successor of a given natural number and the predecessor of a given natural number. Now, let's start with properties of whole numbers. So in this session, we are going to talk about two properties of whole numbers. So let's start with our first property, which is known as closure property. So we are going to learn closure property with respect to addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. And we are going to find out that whether whole numbers are closed under addition, subtraction, multiplication or division or not. So let's start with closure property with respect to addition. So I am taking some examples. Here we have some whole numbers and after adding them we are getting a whole number again. For example, 7 and 8, they are whole numbers, and after adding 7 and 8 we are getting 15, which is again a whole number. Similarly, adding 5 with itself we are getting 10, which is again a whole number. Now I am taking 0 and 15, both are whole numbers, and after addition we are getting 15, which is again a whole number. So by looking at these examples, we are getting that after adding two whole numbers, we are again getting a whole number. That means whole numbers are closed under addition. Why? Because the sum of any two whole numbers is a whole number. So closure property for addition says that whole numbers are closed under addition as the sum of any two whole numbers is again a whole number. Now let's see whether closure property holds for subtraction or not. So closure property, and we are finding whether it is true for subtraction or not. So here again I am taking some examples. In the first one I am taking the whole number 6 and 2. After subtracting 2 from 6 I am getting 4, which is a whole number. Now I am subtracting 8 from 7. After subtraction I am getting -1, which is not a whole number. Why? Because whole number is a collection of natural number and zero. Negative numbers are not included in this collection. So -1 is not a whole number. Now let's move on to third example. In the third one I am subtracting 4 from 5. After subtraction I am getting 1, which is again a whole number. Now subtract 9 from 3. After subtraction I am again getting -3, a negative number, which is not a whole number. So in case of subtraction I am getting whole number as well as not a whole number, which means whole numbers are not closed under subtraction. Why? Because the difference of any two whole numbers is not always a whole number. If the difference of any two whole number is always a whole number, then we can say that whole numbers are closed under subtraction. But after taking some example, we are finding that in some cases we are getting a whole number, but in some cases we are not getting a whole number. So the difference of any two whole number is not always a whole number. That is why our whole numbers are not closed under subtraction. Now let's see whether the whole numbers are closed under multiplication or not. Closure property for multiplication. Again, I am taking some examples. Multiply 7 and 8. After multiplication, I am getting 56, which is a whole number. I am taking same whole numbers. So 5 multiplied by 5 equals to 25, which is again a number. Now I am multiplying 0 and 15, and after multiplication I am getting 0, which is again a whole number. So in case of multiplication, I am getting that after multiplying any two whole numbers, the result is again a whole number, which means whole numbers are closed under multiplication. Why? Because the product of any two whole numbers is a whole number. So we are getting that closure property holds for multiplication. Why? Because after multiplying any whole numbers, the result which we are getting is again a whole number. Now let's check closure property for division. Again, I am taking some examples. So here I am taking two whole numbers 8 and 4, and after dividing 8 by 4 I am getting 2, which is a whole number. Now I am taking whole numbers 5 and 7. After dividing 5 by 7 I am getting 5 upon 7, or in decimal you will find 5 upon 7 equals to 0.7, which is not a whole number. Now I am taking two whole numbers 12 and 3, and after dividing 12 by 3 I am getting 4, which is again a whole number. In the fourth one I am taking whole numbers 6 and 5, and after dividing 6 by 5 I am getting 6 upon 5, which is equals to 1.2, which is not a whole number. So in case of division, I am getting whole numbers as well as numbers which are not whole numbers, which means if we divide one whole number with another whole number, then we are not always getting a whole number, which means that whole numbers are not closed under division, because after dividing a whole number by another whole number, in some cases we are getting a whole number, but in some cases we are not getting a whole number. So we get that whole numbers are closed under addition and multiplication, but whole numbers are not closed under subtraction and division. Now let's move on to our next property known as commutative property. Again we are going to check commutative property for addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So let's see the commutative property for addition. So here commutative property says that we can add whole numbers in any order. So in the first one I am adding 3 and 5. So here I am adding 5 with 3. So 3 plus 5 equals to 8. Now I am changing their order. Here 5 is at the first place and 3 is at the second place. Again 5 plus 3 equals to 8. So we are getting 3 plus 5 is equals to 5 plus 3. Similarly 4 plus 6 equals to 10, and 6 plus 4 is also equals to 10. That means 4 plus 6 is equals to 6 plus 4. So 4 plus 6 equals to 6 plus 4. Similarly, 0 plus 2 equals to 2, and 2 plus 0 is also 2. That means 0 plus 2 equals to 2 plus 0. The last example is 1 plus 5, which is equals to 6, and now we are adding 5 and 1. So 5 plus 1 equals to 6. So from there we get 1 plus 5 equals to 5 plus 1. So here I am getting that we can add whole numbers in any order. Either you add 5 with 3 or you add 3 with 5. The result which you get will always remain same. So commutative property for addition state that addition is commutative for whole numbers. Again I am repeating, addition is commutative for whole numbers. Why? Because we can add whole numbers in any order. Either you add 3 plus 5 or you add 5 plus 3, the result will always remain equals. That means addition is always commutative for whole numbers. Now let's check whether subtraction is commutative for whole numbers or not. So commutative property, we are checking for subtraction. So again I am taking some examples to prove whether commutative property is true for subtraction or not. In the first one I am subtracting 5 from 3. So 3 minus 5 equals to minus 2. Now I am subtracting 3 from 5. So here I am reversing the order of these two whole numbers. So 5 minus 3 equals to 2. In the first one I am getting minus 2, and in the second one I am getting 2. That means 3 minus 5 is not equals to 5 minus 3. This is the symbol of not equal. So 3 minus 5 is not equals to 5 minus 3. Why? Because minus 2 is not equals to 2. Now let's move on to second example. Here I am subtracting 6 from 4 and getting minus 2 as answer. Here I am subtracting 4 from 6. After subtraction I am getting 2. So in the first one I am getting minus 2, and here I am getting plus 2. Again minus 2 is not equals to 2. That means 4 minus 6 is not equals to 6 minus 4. In the third one I am taking two whole numbers 0 and 2. So 0 minus 2 equals to minus 2, and 2 minus 0 equals to 2. So here I am getting a negative number, here I am getting a positive number, and negative number is not equals to a positive number. That means 0 minus 2 is not equals to 2 minus 0. Now I am taking 1 and 5. After subtracting 5 from 1 I am getting minus 4, and here I am subtracting 1 from 5. So I am getting 4. So from there again I am getting 1 minus 5 is not equals to 5 minus 1. So from all these examples we are getting that we cannot subtract whole numbers in any order. If you are going to subtract whole numbers by changing their order, the answer will be going to different, which means subtraction is not commutative for whole numbers. I am again repeating, subtraction is not commutative for whole numbers. Why? Because we cannot subtract whole numbers in any order, which is obvious from these examples. Now let's check commutative property for multiplication. Again we are going to see whether whole numbers are commutative with respect to multiplication using some examples. So here I am taking some whole numbers. So in the first one I am taking 5 and 3. So 3 multiplied by 5 equals to 15. Now I am multiplying 5 by 3. So I am just reversing their order. In the first one, this is 3 multiplied by 5, and in the second one we have 5 multiplied by 3. So order is reversed. So 5 multiplied by 3 is equals to 15. That means 3 multiplied by 5 equals to 5 multiplied by 3. In the second one, I am multiplying 4 and 6. So 4 multiplied by 6 equals to 24, and 6 multiplied by 4 is also equals to 24. That means 4 multiplied by 6 is equals to 6 multiplied by 4. Now let's check with whole number 0. So 0 multiplied by 2 is 0, and 2 multiplied by 0 is also 0. That means 0 multiplied by 2 equals to 2 multiplied by 0. Now I am taking 1 and 5. So 1 multiplied by 5 equals to 5, and also 5 multiplied by 1 equals to 5. So from here we get 1 multiplied by 5 equals to 5 multiplied by 1. So from all these examples we are getting that multiplication is commutative for whole numbers. Why? Because when we multiply whole numbers in any order, then we are getting the same number, which means we can multiply our whole numbers in any order. By reversing their order, the answer will not going to be changed. So that means multiplication is commutative for whole numbers. Now let's check the commutative property for division. Again, we are trying to understand this property using some examples. In the first one, I am dividing 3 by 5. So after dividing 3 by 5, I am getting 3 upon 5. And now I am going to divide 5 by 3, and I am getting 5 upon 3. And since 3 upon 5 is not equals to 5 upon 3, so from there we are getting 3 divided by 5 is not equals to 5 divided by 3. Similarly, 4 divided by 6 equals to 4 by 6, and 6 divided by 4 equals to 6 by 4. Again, these two numbers are not equal, which means 4 divided by 6 is not equals to 6 divided by 4. Now I am dividing 1 by 5. So after dividing 1 by 5, I am getting 1 upon 5, and here I am dividing 5 by 1. After dividing, I am getting 5 upon 1, or you can say 5. And you know that 5 is not equals to 1 upon 5, which means 1 divided by 5 is not equals to 5 divided by 1. So from all these examples, we conclude that division is not commutative for whole numbers. Why? Because we cannot divide whole numbers in any order. If the order is changed, then the number which we are going to get will also change. So from all these examples, we conclude that our whole numbers are commutative with respect to addition and multiplication, but whole numbers are not commutative with respect to subtraction and division. One more topic which we are going to learn in this session is division by 0. Before this, we are taking all those examples where we are dividing one whole number by another whole number except 0. Why we are doing this? To understand this, we have to first understand the meaning of division. Division by a number means subtracting that number repeatedly. Just like multiplication. Multiplication is also known as repeated addition. Similarly, division is also known as repeated subtraction. So let's try to understand this statement by means of an example. So here I am taking an example in which I am going to divide 8 by 2. I am not doing it in the usual way or by following the process of division. I am doing it in another way where I am subtracting 2 from 8 repeatedly. So first step, 8 minus 2 equals to 6. Again subtract 2 from 6. So 6 minus 2 equals to 4. Again subtract 2. So 4 minus 2 equals to 2. Again subtract 2. So 2 minus 2 equals to 0. So from here we are getting 0 after how many steps? We are getting 0 after 4 steps. That means 8 divided by 2 equals to 4. So in this way, by repeated subtraction, we will get the answer. Now I am taking another example in which I am going to divide a whole number by 0. So 4 divided by 0. In the first step, I have to subtract 0 from 4. So 4 minus 0 is again 4. Now I have to subtract 0 from this answer. So 4 minus 0 again 4. Again 4 minus 0 4. 4 minus 0 4. So in this example we are getting that in every step we are getting number 4 again and again, and this process will never going to be end. It will never stop. Since this process is not ending anywhere, so we say that 4 divided by 0 is not defined. That is why we never divide a whole number by 0. We say that 4 divided by 0 or any whole number divided by 0 is not defined. Why? Due to this. Here I am dividing 8 by 2, and instead of following the process of division, I am using the method of subtracting the number repeatedly. So in the first case, after subtracting 2 each time, I am getting 0 after 4 steps. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. But 4 divided by 0, in this example, after subtraction I am getting 4 again and again, and this process will never stop. So we are saying that 4 divided by 0 is not defined.